a mosque, a place of prayer, peace and comfort. Yet for the millions of Muslims in this region, faith turned into vulnerability. Long before partition, Pakistanis were singled out, attacked and forced from their homes. Belief became a label and violence followed. This film tells the story of all the lives lost simply for who they were and what they believed. Throughout the hundreds of princely states of the Raj, Muslims lived not as a minority, but as a vast and integral presence. Yet, it couldn't shield them from systematic oppression and deepening marginalization. This widening chasm was fueled by a growing Hindu refusal to accommodate a shared existence, transforming ancient neighborhoods into battlegrounds of political and social exclusion. Ultimately, this fracture of trust triggered a violent partition of the empire as the British Raj buckled and collapsed under the weight of an internal divide.
The British decided that when they leave, the subcontinent would be divided between two independent sovereign nations, Pakistan and India.
When Pakistan was in a process of making, there was a British legislation with that they gave three choices to the princely states. One was the princely states, while using their own sovereign power, they can go with the dominion of India or the dominion of Pakistan, or they can remain independent.
Millions were displaced when the partition took place. Many migrated from what is India today to Pakistan and vice versa. Then Mr. Nehru forced the Kashmiris to join India, and there were a lot of protests going on against India.
There was a peaceful protest going on outside the central jail in Srinagar. One of the protesters, he stood up and he started adhan and he started like Allahu Akbar and he was shot down. And then another protester stood. He recited the second word of azan. He was shot down again. 21 people were martyred while completing that call to prayer. It was 1931 and it was Dogra army that was doing all these atrocities.
The father of the nation of Pakistan, Muhammad Ali Jinnah, he had worked tirelessly for the promotion of harmony between the Hindus and the Muslims in the subcontinent. The Congress party, the Hindus of the subcontinent, they did not agree with Jinnah. By various accounts, in 1947-48, more than 200,000 Muslims were eliminated through massacres, through displacement.
As the sun began to set on the British Raj, a subcontinent that had lived under colonial rule for centuries was about to be reshaped. The departure of the British was not merely an exit, it was a surgical division that would carve two nations out of one land. For the hundreds of princely states caught in the middle, the choice was meant to be simple, but the reality was anything but.
There were more than 400 princely states in India during the time of the British, Kashmir being one of them. The general advice was that those princely states in the subcontinent, which had a majority of Muslims in terms of geographical contiguity, they should opt for Pakistan. And those states in which the majority is that of the Hindus, they could join India. So, following all these principles, the people of Jammu and Kashmir, they wanted to join Pakistan.
Prince of Jammu and Kashmir, he signed standstill agreement with the Pakistan, and government of India launched military motives, and they captured the sovereign ruler of Jammu and Kashmir, and they had his fake signature what they presented in the United Nations.
Then India took up the subject of Jammu and Kashmir with the United Nations. It was not Pakistan. that had taken the issue of Jammu and Kashmir to the United Nations. It was India.
The global community as well, because they passed so many resolutions in United Nations in Security Council, and they declared that the exercising right of self-determination is a very right of Kashmiri people, and there should be a plebiscite that is a very multilateral option. They were unable to stop bad ambitions of Government of India regarding unilateralism.
And Mr. Nehru, the first Prime Minister of India, he gave assurances in his interviews saying that even if the Kashmiris don't want to join India, we will not force them to join India. And then comes a time when India backs out and India says that UN resolutions are invalid. The issue of Jammu and Kashmir has continued.
It was a very difficult time, not only for the Kashmiri people, but for the whole of the nation, that the Government of India is just stealing our very right in front of, the whole global community.
There were wars between Pakistan and India in 47, 48, 65. The relationship has been tense between India and Pakistan.
These massacres and the genocidal intention is not just evident after the creation of Pakistan. Even before that, it started long ago in Jammu and Kashmir.
Kashmir is the place where partition never ended. Left unresolved in 1947, it became one of the world's longest-running conflicts. Since then, tens of thousands of Muslims have been killed or simply disappeared, villages emptied, families split by the borders they never chose.
Kashmir has been illegally occupied by India for the past 78 years, where today our fourth generation is facing oppression and torment. India is committing genocide in Kashmir. The grave human rights violations here are happening with the unlimited powers granted to Indian forces in the region, and they are doing it freely with no restrictions.
The Indian forces are gradually establishing their presence in every corner of occupied Jammu and Kashmir, preventing us from going to school, not letting us celebrate our religious festivals, and hindering us from living our joys and sorrows. Everywhere, their checkpoints are set up, and their presence is felt from everywhere.
They took our men away and left us there. Then we were told we should leave this place, otherwise our houses would be set on fire. All our family left. We were hungry and thirsty. We left everything behind, our home, our belongings, and our memories. With great difficulty, we managed to get out of there. We spent the night in the forests. Our feet were in pain from blisters, and we were crying from hunger. Whenever the Indian soldiers passed by, our parents would tie cloth over our mouths so that we don't cry or make noise. With great difficulty, we reached the Pakistani border by the morning.
My mother, and likewise my mamus, they can never visit their father's grave, because in between is the line of control that divides the two Kashmiris, that divides the two families.
We are living through this oppression and tyranny even today. More than 9,500 families who were forced to migrate are still living in Azad Kashmir.
By the logic of partition, Kashmir, with its overwhelming Muslim majority and geographical links, seemed destined for Pakistan. Yet the political environment of the era told a different story. The arrival of Indian military forces changed the trajectory of the region forever, leading to a signature that remains contested to this day. India argues that the 1947 accession was a legal necessity, triggered by what they term as outside intervention. From their perspective, this wasn't just a tactical move, but a final constitutional act, one that followed the same framework as other princely states and effectively closed the door on future revisions.
During that time, we left and started a public campaign in which we demanded independence from India. After making this demand, when we came under the radar of India's agencies and forces, I had to escape to save my life.
As a result, I was arrested, unjustly taken, and kept in prison for 9 months. During those 9 months, they tortured me and subjected me to severe brutality. When I returned to my home, the situation in Kashmir was extremely dire. Indian forces in Kashmir were inflicting countless atrocities on the youth, the elderly, and the women.
I'm basically from Indian-occupied Kashmir. I remained imprisoned in various Kashmiri and Indian jails for more than 10 years at different times. The only fault of mine was that I was asking for the right of self-determination of the people of Jammu and Kashmir, which has been promised to them by the United Nations, by India, by Pakistan.
My father and my older brother were also involved in these activities against India. That's why they became the primary targets of the Indian forces. They were shot on the road. My father had a holy Quran in his pocket, and the bullet struck from inside the Quran. Both of them were martyred on that path, and in 1991, 2 bodies, 2 funerals, returned to our home.
91 में घर आए.
The dignity of our sisters and daughters is not safe. Our brothers are not safe. They are killed, starved for years. And when they are on the brink of death, they are brought out and thrown into the streets or open fields. Only then do we learn that these are our children, our brothers, or our parents.
How it is possible that they can fight war empty-handed? They don't have any weapon, they don't have any air force, they don't have any navy. It is admitted they are just throwing the stones towards the Indian army. It is admitted that they raise slogans against the army. Kashmiris have always condemned the violence, because if we go through the history, Kashmiris have always the peace-loving people. But how it is possible that so far in Indian Kashmir, you have killed more than 100,000 people?
Even today, most of the population in Kashmir is Muslim, and India is attempting to change this by turning them into a minority. India is issuing state orders to settle Hindus from India in occupied Jammu and Kashmir, while simultaneously occupying the lands of those who have migrated here. Hindus are being settled there as part of this plan.
Here, the landscape is defined not by the beauty of the mountains, but by the steel of checkpoints and the weight of unlimited military power. Behind these beautiful vistas lies a grueling reality of restricted movement, silenced festivals, and a life lived under constant surveillance.
On the night of 22nd to 23rd February 1991, when Kunan and Pashpora were surrounded by a unit of India's Mountain Brigade, they started shouting over loudspeakers, ordering the youth, children, and elders to come out. When we went outside, we thought perhaps this is a disciplined and sensible army that respects women, which is why they let the women stay inside. They gathered us in a field between the 2 villages and told us to go down on our knees. As time passed, screams and cries began to rise from the houses. Young men strained to hear, hoping it wasn't the voice of their sister. Fathers worried if it was their daughter. Husbands feared it might be their wives. Every person was listening desperately. No one could stand up because the Indian soldiers had their guns raised and aimed at us. After 4 or 5 hours, when the screams silenced and the soldiers began leaving, those of us sitting in the field didn't even have the courage to stand up.
All over the world, whenever you talk about children, what do you think of? This confectionery, you think of toys, you think of being playful. But for a Kashmiri who has been raised particularly in the era of 90s or even perhaps now, these words were strange words. A total stranger to happiness, to joy, and to perhaps the most important of all the words, freedom.
In 2001, they kidnapped my nephew from his home. He was just a student. They deceived him by telling him that he was being sent to Pakistan, but when they took him and 3 other young men to a remote jungle and killed them. Afterward, they dumped their bodies in a distant forest, poured acid over them, and buried them all in a single grave.
When I was in Srinagar, I witnessed a tragic incident with my eyes. The Indian Army entered a house, and while committing sexual violence against the women and girls inside, one of the girls jumped from the 5th floor just to protect her dignity. She fell onto the main road and died.
More than 22,000 of our women are widows, whose husbands were brutally killed without any fault of their own. Over 2,700 are semi-widows, women who have no knowledge of whether their husbands are alive or dead.
These genocidal events not just happened once or twice. Since 1857 till today, it's not just a history. It's a history living in our own eyes, not just in the books or in the newspapers.
However, India is misleading international community that there is peace, there is harmony, but I say definitely there is peace, but you can see it is a piece of a graveyard. There is a silence of a graveyard in Jammu and Kashmir.
India claims the status of Jammu and Kashmir is strictly an internal matter. By their logic, since the accession was legally final, any remaining issues fall under domestic jurisdiction, effectively rejecting the need for international intervention or outside mediation. Crossing the border offered safety, but it came at a devastating price: the loss of home, livestock, and the shattering of the family unit. Today, the line of control does more than divide land. It separates the living from the graves of their loved ones.
My father had passed away, and only the remaining family members were thrown out of the house. The house was locked, and the land that belonged to me was seized by the army, who put up a board and took control of it, placing it under their custody. Thousands of Muslims were thrown out of their homes as well. This kind of oppression has been going on for centuries against the Kashmiris.
And even when we had actually stationed over here, when we had actually kind of built a house over there, temporary residence for us, my parents always used to say that probably tomorrow or day after tomorrow, we're going to go back. So you don't have to buy this, you don't have to buy the furniture, you don't have to buy the fridge, or all the, the accessories that a common household has. And this is what I grew up, even though we were in the free environment, in the free atmosphere.
Today, Kashmir remains one of the most heavily militarized zones on Earth, with hundreds of thousands of security personnel stationed in this region. The landscape changed fundamentally in 2019, when the government of India revoked the special status granted to Jammu and Kashmir, stripping the territory of its long-standing autonomy and imposing a prolonged lockdown. At its core, India insists that the status of Jammu and Kashmir is a settled domestic matter. By their official stance, the region is an integral and inseparable part of their territory, rendering any outside involvement or international mediation, in their eyes, a violation of sovereign internal affairs. In this digital and physical isolation, the stories of millions remain hidden from the world. But the danger of leaving this conflict unresolved extends far beyond these mountains.
This was against even the wishes and desire of the founding fathers of India, Mr. Gandhi and Mr. Nehru. And today we find that close to or more than 900,000 Indian security personnel are there in Kashmir, subjugating the people of Kashmir.
Children's education is affected, their health is compromised, and their future is destroyed. Where women are forcibly targeted and used as instruments of violence, we appeal to the world to grant us the right to self-determination. We urge that this issue be resolved through dialogue and negotiations. Until the Kashmir issue is resolved through peaceful discussions, peace cannot be established in South Asia.
Right in the age of artificial intelligence and that digital age, people don't have the right to get information, a right to share their information. Journalists are not allowed to go inside the Jammu and Kashmir and to cover the stories, what people are suffering there. And the government of India is hiding not just 1, 2, 3 stories. There are millions of stories, millions of atrocities they committed there.
For the people of Jammu and Kashmir, the solution is not found in the display of military dominance, but in the restoration of their basic human rights. This is a tragedy defined by cruel distance. While some are forced to witness the daily agony and suffering of their loved ones firsthand, others, separated by a line of control, can only listen to those echoes from the other side. This separation is the living legacy of a promise made by the United Nations decades ago, a promise of the right to self-determination that remains unfulfilled, leaving generations to wait for a homecoming that may never come.
There is every apprehension of a war, and that would be a nuclear war between India and Pakistan if the Jammu and Kashmir issue is not resolved.
Between these 3 nuclear powers, Kashmir is the flashpoint. If this fire is left to burn like this, and the oppression on Kashmiris continues, this spark will one day turn into a blaze that will destroy the region, and innocent people will be killed.
Pakistan desires nice relations, mutually beneficial relations with India. We think that constructive engagement between Pakistan and India is to the benefit of the people of the subcontinent.
People do ask me, what do you think is the best solution of the issue of Jammu and Kashmir? I say the solution has already been brought forth by the United Nations. That is, there should be plebiscite held in the entire state of Jammu and Kashmir, in Indian-occupied Kashmir, in Azad Kashmir, in Gilgit-Baltistan, entire state of Jammu and Kashmir. Let the people of the entire state of Jammu and Kashmir decide.
We survive on the hope that our loved ones will come back to us, but time has been cruel. Many of our brothers and sisters have passed away in the silence of that wait. My husband was among them. He lived every day for the promise of freedom, but he closed his eyes for the last time before that day ever arrived.
If India believes that people of Jammu and Kashmir are with them, then it shouldn't have any objection. Let them go for their referendum tomorrow. If the people of Jammu and Kashmir give vote to the India, who is going to stop them?
India is well aware of the fact that if the people of Jammu and Kashmir are given a chance to vote, they will vote for Pakistan. They will not vote for India because they have seen what India has done. India has been very brutal against the people of Jammu and Kashmir.
For a Kashmiri What matters the most is Azadi. For the one destination that we want is the right of self-determination. Azadi from Indian hegemony. Azadi from Indian Constitution.
The borders dividing Pakistan and India were drawn in 1947, just in weeks. However, its consequences lasted generations. Partition turned neighbors into refugees overnight. We uncovered what we could. However, thousands of stories here will remain buried forever.